Ergonomics. We know what ergonomics is all about. Making the job fit the person, not the person fit the job. It's keeping the abilities of the human body in mind when we design tools, equipment, workstations, and work processes. To get ergonomics into the workplace, you need an ergonomics program. Well, what's a program going to do? An ergonomics program gives us the structure, the tools to put ergonomics in place. It focuses your time, money, and resources effectively. How do you know you need an ergonomics program? How do you know it's going to make a difference? Hey, just take a look around.
Remember the risk factors? Repetition, force, posture, contact stress, and vibration? They're still out there, and you've got to control them. In many companies, up to 85% of the cost of workers' compensation payments are spent on musculoskeletal disorders. 85%. This includes the direct costs of lost time, medical treatment, and disability costs. And then there are the costs that are harder to see. Things like turnover, absenteeism, low morale, product defects, production inefficiencies, administrative time for paperwork, and OSHA fines. You use ergonomics to control the risk factors that contribute to MSDs, but how are you going to do it?
Think about how you handle any workplace challenge. What do you do when a customer makes a request? When there's a production problem, a quality issue? What do? You do what you always do. You pinpoint the problem, look for solutions, implement changes, and then figure out if it all worked the way it was supposed to. That's all part of the ergonomics program.
There are certain things you need to have in place if you're going to have a successful program. You start with realizing there's a need for ergonomics, that there are risk factors in the workplace that can injure people. Now you're probably wondering, okay, I recognize the need for a program, but how do I fit in? You can make a commitment to change the situation in your workplace. Get rid of those risk factors. Figure out ways to work smarter, not harder. And part of your role is knowing that ergonomics is going to involve some of your time and effort. You'll be studying jobs, coming up with ideas for improvement, going to meetings and training sessions. You'll be investing your time and talents, but you'll find the results will be worth it. You also have to realize that you can't do it all on your own. Ergonomics takes a team effort. Part of your role is getting everyone excited and involved. That means getting an ergonomics team together, or assigning responsibilities to individuals, or making an ergonomics presentation to your staff. Do whatever works best for your company. Now it's time to organize your efforts. Here's what you do. Check your injury history. Find out which areas have risk factors. Look at OSHA logs, accident reports, interview employees. Go out and observe the work area. Look for those risk factors.
A lot of people think problems are going to be hard to find, and they're surprised to see how many risk factors are really around. In fact, once you pinpoint the problems, they can seem overwhelming, which leads us to the next element of the program, the action plan. That's setting some goals, due dates, and task assignments. The action plan helps you focus and take action by setting your ergonomic priorities.
The next step is taking the program to the front lines, to the people who are doing the work. Start with communication. Communicate with the people affected by the program and its improvements. If you don't communicate well, you aren't going to succeed, because everybody needs to know what's going on in the program. Use meetings, one-to-ones, memos, newsletters to get the ergonomic information out there. Use the information to share successes and ideas between departments and work areas. Make sure communication is regular and frequent. The other element to remember is training. People need to be trained to understand the basics of ergonomics. Training gives your program depth. The more people are aware of ergonomics, the better equipped they are to help find solutions and adapt to the changes ergonomics brings.
Okay, now we're ready to really get into it. This is the fun part, task analysis and job improvement. Oh, it sounds complicated, I know, but it's not. It's great. This is where you can really make things happen. Task analysis is the first step. Focus on the jobs where there may be problems. Take the job, look at the specific things that are done within that job, and find out what risk factors or other ergonomic issues are present. All you need to do this are your own eyes and an understanding of ergonomics. Your goal is to simply look at and record the characteristics of the job as they currently exist.
Start by breaking a job down into its parts. First, look at each step for risk factors for musculoskeletal disorders. Look at which parts of the body are at risk. And finally, what caused the risk factor to exist?
We've analyzed the task and we've found problems. How can we make these tasks better?
Keep in mind, there are two ways to improve ergonomic challenges. The first are what I call simple improvements, the improvements that can be done right away with little time or expense. Then there are more complex ergonomic challenges. These take more time and money to implement, and are usually part of long-range budget planning. What's great about ergonomic improvements, and what ergonomics experts will tell you, is that the cost of these improvements are usually offset by improved productivity and quality of your production or service.
Remember, the success of your program depends on effective improvement. And hey, I'll admit it, sometimes you're looking at a job, and how to improve it isn't all that obvious. Then it's a good idea to videotape the task.
Video is a good way to focus on areas that might not be easy to see. Next, let everyone who's involved look at the tape. Use the power of group thinking and pick everybody's brain. Brainstorming sessions work great when you're looking for ergonomic solutions. Keep the communication open because, imagine this, the craziest thoughts often inspire a great ergonomic improvement.
Okay, we've pinpointed the short-term and the long-term solutions. End of story, right? Not quite. What we've got started is a process. And to keep the ergonomics program working for us, we've got to give it some ongoing support.
It's really great when ergonomics takes off on its own. Once people understand the basics and get excited about it, they'll come up with lots of solutions and ideas on their own. You can just rake them in.
But remember to come up with a way to accept suggestions and respond to them. If somebody's taken the time to share an idea, they deserve a response. Even if you can't implement their idea, they know you listened to them and considered it, and that's important too.
Now, here's the part that's not so fun. What if, in spite of everyone's best efforts, an employee reports symptoms of a musculoskeletal disorder? That's where medical management comes in. Medical management identifies problems early, seeks prompt and appropriate medical care, communicates with the healthcare professional to find out recovery needs, and helps employees return to work according to their individual capabilities. Your role in medical management is simple. You need to make sure employees report signs and symptoms of musculoskeletal disorders at the early stages and make sure employees get treatment. You need to work with the healthcare professional to determine the employee's job restrictions and find a job that meets their current capabilities or modify their regular job. If you aren't careful to follow job restrictions, people can easily become re-injured or their medical problems made worse.
I can't tell you how important good medical management is. If you can relieve an employee's discomfort early on, you'll not only keep people on the job, but you'll save medical costs. You also might be able to make improvements that will prevent future problems.
Okay, so now you've got your ergonomics program up and running. How's it going? Starting up slow? Doing great? Hard to tell? Then you've got to find a way to monitor your progress. Start by seeing if you follow the steps of your action plan. Did employees get trained? Were jobs with risk factors analyzed? Are solutions being implemented?
Then, look to see if the program has reduced MSDs and the related costs. Compare your numbers from before the program was implemented with the numbers after the program started. You should be able to measure improvement 6 months to a year after the program begins.
Now you've got to keep the program going. Being a good observer helps. Inspect the workplace to see how the program is working and look for areas of improvement. In spite of all the work you've done so far, nobody's perfect. There's always an ergonomic challenge out there. Talk to employees and supervisors to see if they are following ergonomic principles and using improvements, and to find out other suggestions. Watch how they do their work. Now, don't hang around and make them all nervous, but just keep your eyes open and see where you can improve.
And that's it. That's how the ergonomics program works. I think it's exciting to see the improvements and their positive effect, not only on productivity and the bottom line, but also in reducing injuries. Make your commitment to ergonomic change and just follow the steps. It's going to take some time and effort on your part, but I can tell you're going to be great at this. Ergonomics. If you pay any attention to advertising, you've probably heard about it. It's used to sell everything from cars to toothbrushes. But what's so special about ergonomics? What does it really do? Ergonomics provides the method to change the way we do things for the better. In the workplace, that means making the job easier to perform. It lets you go home without feeling any pain at the end of the day.
Ergonomics is about understanding how we move, our capabilities and limitations, and how the design of tools, equipment, and workstations affects our ability to do our job. See, the idea behind ergonomics is to make the job fit the person, not the person fit the job. It doesn't matter what you do, whether you assemble parts, enter data, or move materials. The way you do your work can be the difference between being healthy or getting injured. You know your body is designed to do a variety of movements, and when everything is working well, your muscles, joints, tendons, and nerves have an incredible range of motion.
But sometimes, even when you're doing something you normally do, you may feel pain, numbness, or swelling. It could be your back, your wrists, your shoulders, your neck. All you know is that you hurt.
This kind of pain comes from injuries called musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDs. These injuries can take months or years to develop. What do MSDs have to do with ergonomics?
Ergonomics uses innovative solutions to adjust and modify workstations, equipment, positions, and postures to remove or reduce the risk factors that cause these injuries.
What kind of risk factors are we talking about? There are 5 you need to be aware of: repetition, force, posture, contact stress, and vibration. Let's start with repetition.
Repetition happens because many jobs are specialized, and that means we end up doing the same movements over and over and over again. Well, this can cause stress to accumulate on certain body parts. Next, you have to think about force. Force is the effort needed to make these motions. It's the extra push to tighten, drive, insert, or cut. Any awkward postures or positions you might use are also a risk factor. Elbows out and away from the body stress shoulders and arms. Bent wrists affect hands and wrists, and pinch grips also affect hands. Bent or twisted postures stress the neck and lower back, or simply staying in the same position for a long time, such as sitting or holding a tool, can also lead to problems.
Contact stress is another risk factor. It occurs when your body is pressed against a hard or sharp edge. This can put too much pressure on nerves, tendons, and blood vessels. Even resting your forearms on the edge of a work surface can reduce circulation and, over time, contribute to an MSD. Using your hand as a hammer will also increase your risk. The final risk factor is vibration, like you'd experience from using saws, sanders, grinders, or jackhammers. Depending on the type of equipment and how long and how often you use it, operating vibrating tools can lead to nerve damage.
Our bodies are designed to move in many different positions and postures. And if we're in an awkward position occasionally, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's harmful. It's the cumulative effect of the risk factors that causes problems. If you're in an awkward position and you add repetition and force, over time it could lead to an injury. Now you know the risk factors that can cause injury. So how does ergonomics reduce or eliminate the effect risk factors have on the body? Ergonomics provides the principles and innovative tools to redesign work so it's more compatible with human strengths and weaknesses. An important principle of ergonomics is maintaining neutral body movements. By neutral, I mean allowing the body to move without adding stress. Neutral means arms swing naturally at your sides. Wrists are not bent. Your spine follows its natural curve, and shoulders are relaxed.
The more you can do in neutral positions, the less chance of injury. And ergonomics provides the opportunity to change for the better.
Change the way you do things? Now that's a radical thought, but change is the only way to improve.
To change how you do things, you need to expand your mind and look at your job in a new way. What do you do? How do you do it? Where does the work come from? Where does it go? Look for the risk factors. So, how do you change your job to avoid the risk factors? Through ergonomic improvements to your workplace. Many ergonomic improvements are simple. They don't have to cost a lot of money or require a lot of equipment. A lot of times, it's something you can do right now. Keep in mind a general rule of thumb. Work should be at about elbow height and within easy reach. This keeps the back in its normal arch and the upper body in neutral. Here's some ideas.
Raise it, lower it, adjust it, tilt it, automate it, reduce the repetition, eliminate the force, slide it, move it closer, change your tools, pat it, change positions.
If you think about it, a lot of ergonomic improvements are pretty much common sense and can go a long way toward reducing and eliminating risk factors. Part of the success of ergonomics relies on the knowledge and abilities of people like you. who understand basic ergonomics, the risk factors, and who expand their minds to find ways to improve the workplace.
The other element of success is your participation in your company's ergonomics program. The program is designed to create an organized method of looking at the workplace in a new way. It provides a systematic approach to identifying the tasks that put people at risk, and then changing those jobs to eliminate or reduce injuries.
Everyone's help is needed if the ergonomics program is going to be successful. You may be involved in finding simple fixes for your area, or you may be involved in bigger ergonomic changes. Sometimes, an ergonomic improvement requires more time to study the risk factors and find ways to eliminate them, and more money to put solutions into place. But if the company looks at setting specific goals and a timeline to achieve them, workplace injuries can be reduced and productivity can increase.
Ergonomics is a process. It's taking a new look at the workplace and incorporating change, eliminating, adding, modifying, improving, repositioning. The exciting thing about ergonomics is that there's always room for a new idea, a new way to do things, and after today, you'll be looking at your workplace in a whole new way.